This is the Footbrawl Podcast with your hosts, Tyler, Andy, and Boyer.
Welcome back to Mantasy Footbrawl Podcast, presented by two of your performance-enhancing dads. What's happening, Stu?
Not much. How's it going?
Oh, it's going. We're here. We're running another one this week. It's all we can ask for, right?
Yep. Are we famous yet?
We're getting close. Not enough to buy more beer, but we'll get there.
Someday.
If you're a beer sponsor out there and you stumble upon this, send me a beer and I'll promote you. See how this works? Andy won't because he's cutting calories after 7 o'clock or something. I don't know.
That's true.
All right, let's jump into week 13 recap. I take down Paul. Nobody was surprised there. Jeremy puts up a big week with 110, knocks off Charlie, which was competing for the wild card at this point. So that was a big loss for Charlie. Walker knocks out the duo, also competing for wild card at this point. So not a good loss for them. Robbie takes out Fryer. Fryer put up 89, lost by 1.5 points. He did play golf over Lamar Jackson this week, so way to have the cojones to do that. Also, if the Dolphins would have ran the ball at all and Jeff Wilson would have got more than 0.3 of a point, Fryer wins this matchup. But it didn't happen. So here you are. You guys tied up at 7-6. Colin has a big week, puts up 113, knocks off Chris. Andy puts up 104, takes down Boyer, and puts Boyer in a real rough spot looking forward. How did we do on our picks, Stu?
You and I got bit by the Mixon pivot. You and I had both picked me, but we both said as long as Mixon plays, and we were pretty confident that he was going to. And then when Mixon sat, I shifted us over to Boyer, but I still ended up winning. So
I almost texted you back as soon as you sent that and said, can I just pivot and stay with Andy? But I felt like since I said because if Mixon's out, I'm going to pivot, I felt like I had to pivot.
Yeah, although I felt the same way.
Even when you texted me, I was like, I want to stay.
I wanted to stay too, but we had already seen Josh Allen not do super well. Boyer's
Right.
Thursday night players, they didn't do terrible, but definitely was a good start to my week. So I will call out that because you and I pivoted, that meant that we all picked straight down the line: Boyer, Robbie, Jeremy, Walker, Chris, Ty, which we got 4 right: Robbie, Jeremy, Walker, Ty. So our magic powers are no more, although maybe the pivot is what did it. Maybe we have to pick it outright. So we'll keep an eye on it, but might not be a thing. So no shift in the standings. Boyer at 47, I'm at 46, Ty at 43. Correct picks on the year. So
I feel comfortable only being back 4 right now.
Yeah, I mean, you only got 2 weeks left to close the gap, so you're gonna have to get ballsy on some of these picks, I think.
I
feel like we were here last year too.
I thought I was going to keep falling further and further behind.
You had a couple good weeks.
So looking at standings real quick, I have clinched the playoff spot at 9-4 in the middle division. Walker clinched playoff spot in the bottom division. Leaving us with 3, 6, and 7 teams between the middle and bottom division with Chris, Duo, and Charlie. And then you've got the top division being a clusterfuck. Andy's at 8-5. Robbie's at 7-6. Fryer's at 7-6, and Boyer's at 6-7.
Sorry, Boyer.
This wild card picture is still pretty crazy. Being in division, this top division has to beat up on each other. So with 2 weeks left, there's still a chance for somebody to jump up. Robbie gets Andy this week. So that will be a big game. That'll be a big game towards division and wild card.
Yeah, if I win
Robbie
this
does
week,
have
I clinch the division because Fryer and Robbie both wouldn't be able to catch me and beat me in a tiebreaker. So if I win, I'm in this week. But yeah, go on with wild card.
So if Robbie beats Andy, though, Robbie does hold the tiebreaker with division record over Andy. So that would put them both at 8-6 going into the final week. If they both won, if they both lost, whatever the case may be, Robbie would have the tiebreaker, which would put Andy in the point situation, which is a good thing for him, as long as he doesn't face off with Boyer for the point situation for wild card. Fryer really needs to win out these last 2 weeks to have a shot. He's low in division record and low in points for. So Fryer's got a little bit of an uphill battle to face. He's got Boyer this week, followed by Andy the week after that. So there's still a chance, because if he beats Andy,
that scenario where we all finish with 8 wins is still in play, which doesn't help Boyer for division because he's 0-4, but Boyer is still leading all of the potential wild card teams in points. Although Robbie and I are close, Robbie would win division if we were all at 8 wins. So I'm only 14 points behind Boyer in that scenario, but Boyer does still have a shot here, but he needs a lot of help.
Yeah. And so with that, we do need the wild card to end at 8 wins. For Chris, Duo, and Charlie to even have a shot.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're so far behind in points, so they need Fryer to be that wild card situation and try to beat Fryer out for it.
Yep.
It's going to be tough for all of those 6 and 7 teams, with Fryer and Robbie both at 7 wins. So we will see, but it's a tight race for wild card still. So these next couple weeks will be fun.
Yeah, the fun thing is all of those 6 and 7 teams, one of them isn't even going to make consolation. Right now, Charlie's the 9th team at 6 and 7. So there's a lot to be playing for here, just in terms of standings.
Right.
And I will shout out last week, I think Colin and Jeremy both won, which puts Paul in the lead for Naked right now. So we'll talk a little bit more about that with Colin and Paul's matchup. But
yes,
a lot of shifting down at the bottom of the league this week too.
The good thing is all of you 6 and 7 teams are safe from Naked, because Colin and Paul have to play each other this week. So one of the two of them cannot get to 6 wins. So all you 6 and 7 teams, you're safe.
That's important.
So that leaves it with Jeremy, Colin, and Paul. So one of you 3 are in the running for the Naked or New Punishment or wherever we're at. So we'll see how it goes. Andy.
Yes, sir.
That takes us to you with a little true false in our life. Let's set them with a little trivia since they didn't get it last week.
All right. We're gonna play a very specific kind of true false that I'm gonna call the drop offs.
Oh goody.
So the way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna ask you true or false. We'll do the first one, but true or false, the drop off from quarterback 1 to quarterback 5 is over 50 points. And then if you want to have some help, I'll tell you who quarterback 1 and who quarterback 5 are.
Quarterback 1 to quarterback 5 is a 50-point drop off.
Yeah, true or false, that.
True.
All right, so
I feel like there's only really been 4 good quarterbacks this year.
All right, so name those 4.
Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, and Burrow are my top 4.
Yep, and then there is a jump down to who's number 5.
And then, because I listened to a bunch of other podcasts, Mr. Runs All Day, because they can't do anything else, has jumped way the hell up the ladder. and has overtaken everybody. So it is Justin Fields. He scored a couple long running touchdowns. He's not had a lot of luck through the air, but because of his legs, because of his running ability, because of the touchdowns he's been scoring, he has jumped up. I couldn't tell you what the order is after that, but I because I listened to other people as well.
Sure.
I did know Justin Fields jumped up there. I don't know what the gap is between Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow down to Fields, but
yeah. So
50 points sounds easily reasonable.
So Hurts, Mahomes, Allen are all within a handful of points of each other. Hurts is actually had the most points of all the quarterbacks with 304.5. Justin Fields at number 5, 246. So that's a 58-point gap. So that is true. More than 50 points between QB1 and QB5. All right.
Yeah. As a Bears fan, did you see this coming at all? Like being a top 5 fantasy quarterback?
No, I didn't think that our O-line was going to be able to support this amount of running. He's still back there scrambling for his life when we drop back to pass because our O-line's pretty bad. But apparently, if we run the ball, that's okay. And Fields has got the mobility to make something out of nothing and just get down the field. But it's nice to see that he's got the green light to go. And we've seen a bunch of running quarterbacks have not as much success later in their career after a big year. So here's hoping that this continues because clearly the Bears aren't trying to win this year, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, well, and that's like you saw Kaepernick. He was good for a handful of years. Cam Newton, good for a handful of years. RG3 till he busted himself up. But like running quarterbacks, they figure him out real quick and then they adjust to that game plan. If Fields can't learn how to be at least a decent pocket passer, I think it's going to be trouble for him.
Yeah, we shall see. He needs people to throw to too.
He needs a line to hold up a pocket too, but
well,
there's plenty of things we got to deal with. So, all right, hit me with the next one.
All right, so the true or false, the drop off from running back 1 to running back 5 is more than 50 points.
True.
So Josh Jacobs is 1.
Saquon is 5 because I've been tracking Saquon all year. But what the point drop off is, I'm not sure.
So it's 223 to 179 is only 44 points. But I mean, still a big drop from RB1 to RB5.
And nobody saw Jacobs being the RB1. Let's be honest.
Definitely not. Everybody was giving Colin shit for going to $40 on him in the draft. I was the one that pushed him to $40 in the draft. I would have loved to have had Josh Jacobs on my team, but I would have been hoping to get him for like 25 or 30. I was not comfortable pushing it up into the high 30s like I did, but I did that just because of where the draft was at.
I expected like the $30 to $33 range on him. So like 40 isn't crazy if you had high hopes on him, and maybe he was one of those tear down guys where it was like, shit, I got to grab him before it falls off. I don't remember where he went, but good pick. Maybe Jacob saves Colin this year from being naked.
It's working so far.
So,
all right, wide receiver. Drop off from wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 6. We're going down one more on this one. Is more than 50 points. True or false?
Wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 6. I'm trying to think of who the hell wide receivers, who the top 6 are. I don't think a 50 point again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's as big of a drop off because I don't feel like there's a stud wide receiver that's been killing the league this year. Adams started slow and has been hot. Chase has been hurt. Justin Jefferson's not been, he's been fine.
Jefferson's only got 6 touchdowns. This is what's holding him back.
Right. So, I don't think there's a big enough drop off from Diggs being wide receiver 1 to whoever number 6 is.
You want the names?
Sure.
So Adams is 1, CD is 6. Is there 50
Okay.
points plus between them?
Okay. I guess I'm shocked that CD is up at 6 now. So it's what, Adams and Diggs and Jefferson are my top 3, right? They're still 1,
Yep.
2, 3.
Yep, you can
Okay.
probably get the 4th one too. Then there's a pretty
Fourth is
decent drop.
so 4th and 5th. Waddle and Hill were both in that like top 6 range, but Waddle's dropped off. Hill's been fine.
Yeah, Hill's 4. AJ Brown is 5.
is okay.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
Waddle's 7. So
Okay. Yeah, I knew Waddle was up there, but I know he got hurt last game, which didn't help, and there's been some down weeks. So what's the drop off between like, who is it? Hill, Brown, and CD, like that 4, 5, 6 range.
the drop from Hill to Brown is 25 points, 26 points. That's from 4 to 5.
Okay.
So,
That's still a good drop. I mean, a couple points a week.
So I'll tell you, Adams is at 189.5, CD's at 133.5. So that is a 56 point drop.
And I mean, 130 something isn't a bad year.
No.
It's just, I mean, it's not gonna be that top tier elite, but 130 something so far is not bad.
Yeah, I mean the difference between all these guys is, most of the guys after the drop off have 6 touchdowns, and the guys up at the top either have 1,300 yards or double-digit touchdowns or both.
Or both, right?
So, all right, tight end is going to be fun. True or false, Ty? The drop off from tight end 1 to tight end 2 is more than 90 points. From 1 to 2.
90 points.
90
I'm gonna say false. But it's Kelsey to Andrews.
It's Kelsey to Taysom Hill.
Oh,
Taysom Hill's got Andrews by 1.5 right now.
Well, then I'm gonna adjust my
missed
answer.
a game.
I'm gonna adjust my answer and say yeah.
Yeah, that's how tight ends gone this year.
Well, and I knew it was bad between Kelsey to what I thought was Andrews at 2. Yep. Apparently not.
Travis Kelce's biggest advantage in fantasy. It's only 71 points, so it is not over 90. But Travis Kelce has 171.3. Taysom Hill is a fingernail shy of 100.
Well, so, and Taysom Hill threw a touchdown last week. All right,
he did.
Or no, he caught a touchdown. Threw a touchdown. I don't know. He did something fantasy wise last week, which is stupid.
I think he caught one, which is so. This is Taysom Hill's receiving stats as a fantasy tight end. He has 11 targets for 7 receptions, 66 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's your tight end 2. Fantasy is stupid.
That's what we like to hear.
All right. Now we're going to do the fun ones. Kicker. The drop from kicker 1 to kicker 5 is more than 25 points. True or false?
True.
False. It's 11 points.
Huh. That's good.
Tyler Bass, you shouldn't have dropped him, Ty. Tyler Bass, number 1 at 130. Greg Zuerlein for the Jets is number 5 at 119.
The leg has had a lot of long field goals recently.
Must have.
But yeah, I listen to 2 other guys that pop on my podcast every now and then. And they said, oh, it's okay. You don't want a Buffalo kicker. Like, end of the year, it's going to be snowy. You're not going to want that guy. It's going to be cold.
They had a game relocated for a blizzard. If it hadn't been relocated, he probably wouldn't be the kicker number 1 because he'd have been kicking in a fucking blizzard.
But yeah, I had to deal with my bye week and my bench was loaded with depth. So I just said, oh, what the hell? Let's flip a kicker and we'll deal with it. So here we are.
Right. All right. Last question. Defense. Drop off. 1 to 5. 25 points or more. True or false? Is it over 25 points?
1 to 5. Yes, true.
It is not. It's only 18
I don't know. I don't
points.
follow kickers and defenses close enough yet.
Yeah. New England defense is first in the league at 123, Dallas at 122. And then Buffalo is number 5 at 105. So only
Okay.
18 points between those two.
I did know Buffalo was in the top 5.
There you go.
That's about the best I could do for you because they're on my team. Where are the Niners on defense? Just out of curiosity.
Number 4, also at 105.
Okay. They've had a lot of good games recently. They've not had a lot of takeaways, but they don't let people score.
Right. I have a fun defense fact. This is trivia, not true or false. The Chargers defense has scored 49 fantasy points, 31st in the league. The only team worse than that is the Bears, who have scored 48 fantasy points. But let's talk about the Chargers right now. Preseason rankings for Yahoo. Where did they have the Chargers defense? Number
3.
4. It was number 4.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I knew that they were ranked high. They brought in Khalil Mack. They brought in a couple pieces. I knew they ranked that
JC
team
Jackson.
super high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, is it Bosa? Is he injured?
I don't know.
Think he went out early.
Their whole team's banged up.
Yeah, right. But yeah, they were ranked stupid high, and their team was predicted to be playoffs, Super Bowl contenders, and their defense just sucks. They've had a lot of injuries, offense, defense, everything.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. So, all right. Any more trivia?
Nope, that's all I got. But just making the point of some positions matter more than others, tight end. B, you gotta get the right guy. Because like Josh Jacobs was not RB1 in the pre-draft rankings, and he's 50 points ahead of RB5.
Saquon.
Yeah. So like, there's a lot of luck in fantasy, but just don't be wrong.
Just don't be wrong. That's good advice.
Get your guy. Yeah, just get your guy. Like if you have faith in the guy, go get the guy.
Draft better.
Yeah, draft correctly.
That's all it comes down to. Don't suck. All right. Now, before we get into week 14, we're going to hit you with a little. What are you drinking?
Nailed it.
Yeah.
So I do have a story about this because everybody's super invested in my intermittent fasting. I'm down like 2 pounds. Woo! But so I didn't start eating today until 3 o'clock this afternoon because I had a bunch of meetings and just didn't. I was like, that means that I can have a drink on the podcast because I just eat in a 8-hour window. Like, I won't be out of my window yet for the podcast. And then you know what I did? I brushed my teeth after dinner because that's what I've been doing so that I don't want to eat anything. It's a nice trick. If anybody's looking for a trick to stop munching in the evenings, it works great for me. And then I'm getting ready for the podcast. I'm like, I don't want that drink anymore.
I don't know if you guys know this. This is also a health segment by Andy.
Yeah. Well, you
On
want to
top-
know what I'm
on top of
drinking?
the
I'm
beer
drinking
segment,
water.
right?
All right. Talk about your
That's
beer, Ty.
That's what I said. What are you drinking? I'm drinking another Kona, a little Hanalei Island IPA, passion fruit, orange, and guava. The flavors are throwing me a little bit, but it's still a solid beer.
Is it real fruity?
Most Kona beers I've had are good, so I'm not going to complain. Kona, send me a case. I'll keep promoting you as well, because I'm sure Kona is listening to me.
Naturally.
But it's a solid beer, good IPA, not super hoppy. So any of you IPA people that are looking, or not IPA people that are looking for an IPA, this is it. Grab you a Hanalei from Kona. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. I'm not a Hawaiian person. I don't know.
Well,
we'll figure it out. Sorry for all of you. I would like to hear what you guys are drinking next week. If somebody comments on this, I will go out and specifically find your beer and I will drink it on the podcast next week. So anybody that wants me to try a specific beer, I will go try to find it just for you guys next week. Because this is the comment section that I need. I need more beer suggestions. So here we are.
Same,
Um,
except cocktails. I was gonna make a Manhattan tonight. I had all my stuff out and ready to go even, but wasn't meant to be. But next week, I'll keep my window late and I'll make a cocktail.
especially if somebody comments. Come on, help me out.
Yep,
I need Andy to drink with me again. This is the most drinking we get together anymore, you know?
truth.
All right. On that, let's jump into week 14 matchups. Andy, since you've been around long enough and you know what's happening,
Yeah, I'm already
take us
looking at
over with
Chris's bench.
matchup number 1.
All right, so Chris has, I mean, his lineup's pretty locked in. I think you're not playing Huntley over Cousins, especially when Cousins is going against Detroit. Although Detroit's been decent. I'm looking at Vegas defense versus the Titans defense. Vegas gets the Rams on Thursday night. Titans get the Jaguars. Do you have a preference there?
I'm probably going to take Vegas and just leave them in. The Rams have been bad. Vegas defense has had decent pointage over the last couple weeks. And Tennessee, their offense just is anemic at times, which
Yeah.
means their defense has to be on the field more.
The thing I like about Tennessee in general, especially against Jacksonville, is that they run the ball, they run the clock. It's a pretty slow game pace, which means they're generally not going to get torched. Obviously
Right.
the Eagles had their way with them last week, but that's the Eagles. So I don't know that is enough for me to get them in over the Raiders, because I do think the Raiders are a little bit better and the Rams are super banged up. So I think I'm leaving the Raiders in as well, but just wanted to call out that Tennessee getting that slower game pace is beneficial to a defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Slayton against Philly.
Tennessee's offense cracked 20 points once since their bye week.
Dang, that's bad.
So 2, 4, 6, 7 weeks of not cracking 20, cracking 20 once. And they've split, they've gone 4-3. So
Yeah,
they've not been great the last 4 weeks. So that offense needs to figure it out to help this defense out.
right. All right, so at the flex for Chris, are you putting in Pickens or Deontay over Slayton at this point? I think we're probably leaving Slayton in.
Yeah, I as much as I like Pickens, I think you leave. I granted, I don't necessarily like the matchup against Philadelphia. I like the matchup
Terry
against
had a good
Baltimore
game
better.
against Philly last week. Not that Slayton is Terry, but
Right. I'm going to leave Slayton in because he's been getting guaranteed volume. He's not had a touchdown in 4 weeks, but he's getting the volume, he's getting the yards, and what else do you do here?
right.
So
Yeah, he gets the deep looks, which is what you want. I think if you're gonna pivot, you got to go Pickens. You can't really do Deontay because Chris is looking at an uphill battle against Ty this week, so you got to make sure you keep that upside as much as you can.
Yep.
All right, so over on Ty's team, Ty Ayuk against the Bucks, Foreman against Seattle, or are you keeping, I assume, Singletary in? Or Akers. Akers did get the bulk of the carries last week. He did have 2 touchdowns, but I don't know that I'm banking on Akers touchdowns very often coming out of that Rams offense. So I can't imagine he's
No,
back
Akers
in
is
the conversation.
Akers is more of just a stash for me. Just if something goes wrong, I
Sure.
have a running back that was hopefully going to get some carries, and he's getting them. So we'll see what this week plays out like, but not yet. I'm not ready to put him in.
Yeah, I think I'm playing Foreman.
Yeah,
Seattle gave up the aforementioned 2 touchdowns to Akers last week.
Yeah,
Foreman's
and
been getting crazy volume.
Yeah, James Cook has been getting more work in Buffalo too. I mean,
True.
Singletary I still think is the lead running back there, but Foreman Cook has been getting more work. I am leaning towards Foreman, and the good thing is, I'm going to say the good thing because it makes my decision a little bit easier, is that Dotson and Watson are both out this week.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about, do I finally put Watson into my lineup?
Right. Which the answer should be yes, after all he's done.
Right.
Also, I will say
But
on the James Cook thing, the only reason he did as well as he did last week was because I shat on him in the podcast last week. I was like, why is Colin holding this guy? He's not doing anything. Just drop him, cut him. Is ridiculous. And then he's got to make me look bad. So good for you, James Cook. Get yours.
when you listen to us, you'll know that, whatever.
All right. I got Ty in this one. Boyer does too. Ty, who you got?
This is not a game I'm planning on making up, so I'm going to go ahead and just take myself here.
All right.
So with that, we're going to jump to Walker versus Jeremy. Jeremy currently has no kicker, so that's fun. I imagine he'll pick one of those up because he knows that kickers are important. Traylon Burks is running that concussion, so he picked up Mac Hollins for the time being. Sky Moore, Traylon Burks if he comes back, or just ride Mac Hollins against the Ram in your flex. I guess you could start JMO hoping that he gets more work, but I'm not doing that till I see it. What are your thoughts about the flex real quick?
Yeah.
If Burks is back, I'm playing Burks.
I kind of think I am too, because I mean, you look at this is. I mean, there's a 40-point spread in this. A kicker's going to add, call it 10 points. There's a 30-point spread in this game. Walker's team is stacked. Jeremy's team is lucky not to be naked right now. So, and Jeremy's best player in David Montgomery is out on a bye. So, if Jeremy wants any hope in this one, or even, I guess Jeremy may not want to swing for the fences. He may want to lock in a floor just to have points in potential tiebreaker here. But if you're swinging for the fences, I think you got to go Burks.
You could swing for the fence with JMO and hope he gets 2 long balls that he catches and takes to the house. But
yeah, I mean, he had 1 target last week. You definitely could. I think I'd rather do it with Burks, but
I think they said JMO only ran like 8 routes last week or something stupid like that.
Right.
So
you'd need a massive uptick in usage for that to happen.
Right. The other question is, all right, so we're leaning Burks, assuming he's playing.
Right.
Damian Harris or Travis Homer?
Depends on who's healthy and who's not, because Debbie Does Dallas is banged up and Kenneth Walker's hurt. So, I mean, we're gonna have to see how that shakes out. I think if Homer's the guy, then I'm happy to roll with him. But if everybody's healthy, and I don't know if just Dallas is healthy, then maybe pivot to Harris for a little bit more touchdown upside.
Tony Jones Jr. did get a handful of carries last week as well.
He had to.
I'm not saying he's great at running back, but he's another running back on the team.
Right.
So, all right, well, we'll see. I'm with you. I actually think Homer's going to be the guy this week. As much as I hate to say it, I'd like to see Kenneth Walker play, but I think Homer will be the guy, assuming he's healthy. So I'm leaving him in. And then the last one on Jeremy's side, Trevor Lawrence against Tennessee or Dak versus Houston.
I'm gonna go Dak, but we've seen Houston not give up quarterback numbers, not because their defense is good, but because they're giving up 1,000,000 yards on the ground unless they're playing the Browns. So I think I go Dak just because Dak is a fair amount better than Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence didn't practice today because of a toe. He said he expects to play in week 14, which, that sounds good, except for not. You don't want to be like, yeah, I'm probably playing this week. Like, that's not what you want to hear out of your fantasy starter. So just remove all doubt, put Prescott in, and hope that some of these touchdowns come through the air.
Well, and here's the thing though. You look at Tua 2 weeks ago, and they just torched Houston through the air, and then they got pulled at halftime or early in the third quarter. So,
But he had
Either
300
way,
yards after 3 quarters, and he only had 1 touchdown. It could have been 3 touchdowns. It just depends on
right.
where the touchdowns come from.
Yeah. So I'm playing Dak as well. I think that it doesn't matter. You're playing Houston. Put Dak in. Pray that he gets 3 good quarters before he gets pulled. So let's jump over to Walker. Kyler Murray against New England. Dan Jones against Philly. We just talked about New England's defense being good, but I think I'm still putting Kyler Murray in.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Kyler as well. I think the talent is too much for me to ignore.
Okay, so then we have that Pollard Zeke situation with Miles Sanders with the 2 running backs flex, or you've got DeAndre Hopkins on the bench still. We just talked about Houston's defense giving up points to the run game. Pollard and Zeke have both been good.
Yeah, you
leave
got to keep
Hopkins
them
on the
both in.
bench?
It's weird to see Hopkins on the bench. New England's a tougher matchup, and Hopkins only had 4 catches last week with Hollywood, or 2 weeks ago, with Hollywood coming back because they had their bye last week. He did have 87 yards and a touchdown, so not a major concern, but also not the 10
high
catches
ceiling.
he's been getting in every other game. So, I'm fine with keeping Hopkins on the bench, especially against the Patriots. If it means I get to keep both of the Cowboys running backs in against Houston, let's do it.
Yep. All right, I agree. Walker wins this one.
Yep. Sorry, Jay. Boyer also picked Walker.
Yep. Duo versus Charlie for me.
Duo versus Charlie should be a respectable matchup. And we're looking at Duo's team here, and their bench makes it pretty easy for me because everybody is hurt or on a bye except Adam Thielen. Ty, do you like Adam Thielen more than Garrett Wilson against Buffalo? Last week, Garrett Wilson had 15
Probably
targets,
not.
8 catches, and 162 yards. The week before that, only 5 catches, but he had 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, dude is hot of late.
With Mike White in, he targets Garrett Wilson. He throws the ball. Why he throws the ball that much more than Zach Wilson did, I have no idea. But Mike White is a solid quarterback that's been getting Wilson the ball. So I'm keeping him in over Thielen, even with this nice matchup against Detroit, because Thielen's had 3 to 5 catches most weeks, except for week 12 where he had 9 catches. So I'm banking on that being an outlier and him getting 3 or 4 catches again this week.
Yeah, Thielen hasn't cracked 75 yards at all this year. He's only got 3 touchdowns. They're looking at other people in the red zone. So
the only other thing is Waddle went out twice last week. So Waddle may or may not play this week. I imagine he's going to play. But if there's any sort of lingering issues, maybe you make that flip instead of taking the shot on Waddle getting hurt. Maybe you need the upside to win, get points.
Yeah,
pushing the playoffs here, because really this is more playoffs than anything. Yeah, you need the win, but you also need the points if you want any shot at taking it. And Waddle's going to be your upside in points.
Right. Yeah.
If he gets hurt and he goes out, then he's out, and it is what it is anyway.
I think Derrick Henry against the Jaguars is their upside in points this week. That's a 30-point game waiting to happen. It usually is against the Jaguars for him. So maybe they cover it there, but either way, you got to win. So I'm leaving Wilson in. I think that's a pretty easy call. Thielen has very limited upside, has not been scoring touchdowns, which is the main reason he had fantasy value at his age in the first place. And Wilson's been on fire since Mike White came in two games ago. So I'm rolling with that even against the Bills.
Yep.
All right. On Charlie's side, we're looking at Fields on a bye, Claypool on a bye. He's got Watson in at quarterback against the Bengals. He doesn't have anybody else on the bench, but Watson did not look good in his first game back. 12 of 21 or 12 of 22 for 131 yards, no touchdowns and a pick, 5 fantasy points. So, do you go to the waivers to drop a guy like Calvin Ridley or Zamir White and pick up another quarterback this week?
No, once again, same situation as the duo. he needs as many points as possible. Watson may or may not have a big upside, but if he loses, what does it matter? If he can't put up,
it matters that whoever loses this is looking like they are in a good spot to be that 9th team that doesn't even make consolation. So, you're still playing for more than just playoffs. Playoffs is that you need a lot of help for either of these teams. So, swing for the fences if you want, but either way, you got to win these matchups. And I don't know that Watson does it for you.
yeah, what's on waivers?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's go look.
Because that's really what it comes down to. If I don't even know what's out there right now because I haven't had to look.
I got you, Boo. Tannehill against Jacksonville. Derek Carr against the Rams is on waivers tomorrow night. Kenny Pickett, Matt Jones, Sam Darnold. So probably looking at Carr or Tannehill. Probably Carr if you're me.
If we get the problem is Carr plays tomorrow night, so I'm probably leaning Carr if they can grab him. But if not, I like Tannehill. But if Treylon Burks is out, I find another option.
Yeah.
What I don't know where that is. Maybe it's Mac Jones. Maybe it's taking a stab on Brock Purdy. Like I don't know what to tell you to do, but I think if Derek Carr is not your option, you just ride Watson possibly even because there's not a lot else out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because if Burks doesn't play, I don't know that I'm playing Tannehill because I don't like their other wide receiver options.
Right.
So
something to think about at least. But other lineup decisions on Charlie's side, really it's just, are you getting Palmer in over Fournette against the Rams? Not the Rams, the Niners. And at this point, I think I am. Fournette's been pretty rough. Ty, without looking, how many rushing yards do you think Leonard Fournette has on the year through 11 games?
Well, the problem is he missed a handful of games.
No, 11 games played. He only missed.
Oh, he played 11 games. He did only miss the one with the hip flexor. I thought it was more than that.
Yep.
How many yards?
How many rushing yards does he have?
I don't even know where to start. Probably.
Well,
probably
put a per game on it.
Say, I would say he's probably somewhere in the 50 to 55 per game.
Yeah, he's under 50 a game.
Okay.
550 rushing yards would be 50 a game. He's at 511.
Because he had a couple good games early, right? But that was about
week 1 was 127. Since then, he has not cracked 70 yards rushing. And he does get receiving yards too. So I'm ignoring that,
right.
but it's been tough.
And San Fran's
going against the Niners,
defense.
yeah, exactly.
And Tom Brady is it doesn't work well under pressure, so I don't know what the hell they're going to do this week.
Right. I'll put Palmer in over Fournette this week. I like Palmer against the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Dolphins' defense is mediocre to me, so why not? I'm okay with that.
All right, who you got in this one, Ty?
I'm leaning the duo. I'm going to go duo.
I am also going to go duo. I am a lot more confident than you are. Boyer went duo as well. I think Henry and Hurts is enough to carry them this week.
Yeah, but he's sitting on Hubbard, and they had a huge run game last week when they were up. But other than that, Hubbard hasn't gotten jack.
Yeah.
So they played Denver and we're
Charlie's starting Deshaun Watson this week.
Well, I know, and that's what Pacheco and Stevenson, like the two of them combined can counterbalance Henry.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's where my hesitancy was, like, and we all know my love for Lockett, but he's been good, so I can't even whine at him yet this year. He's not had the up and downs. He's only been up, and I don't like it. I don't like it. So yeah, I'm sticking with duo. I think Charlie's got a solid team though, and a solid chance. So we'll see. All right. With that, I'm
Now
going.
we're 3 for 3 so far. Maybe we're testing the non-pivot. You're gonna pivot on something.
I have to make up a couple games here at some point, right?
Yeah, you gotta try.
All
There's a
right, so
couple
let's go to
matchups here that should be competitive.
Boyer versus Fryer. Fryer has, well, I was gonna say Lamar Jackson situation, but he's out, so we're not even worried about that right now. Rashad White's gonna have to. Jeff Wilson Jr. might have lost his job to Mostert.
It's hard to know because they weren't running at all, but Mostert definitely had more of the carries.
Right. So you've got Latavius Murray, which has had 17, 13, and 17 carries the last couple weeks. You've got Jerry Jeudy, which also another Bronco, but Cortland Sutton's out. So maybe Jeudy looks better, but that whole team looks bad.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna have to throw in that game, right?
You'd
Not
think.
that they can. What Russell Wilson gets 150 passing yards a week, so but you gotta think that they gotta throw in that game.
Right. Well, and Rashad White has the Niners, so you move him up for Jeff Wilson, or do you just take the shot on Jeff Wilson being good against a bad Chargers offense?
I think I'm sticking with Wilson, which doesn't feel
Just
great
hoping,
after last week, but
yeah,
his
just
other
hope
games
last
have
week
been good
was,
since he went to the Dolphins.
yeah, just hope that last week was a fluke.
Yeah,
So
a
you
product
just
of the
ride,
Niners matchup.
you ride Rashad White, or do you try to play somebody against Kansas City? Because without the touchdown last week for Rashad White, he was sitting at 4 fantasy points.
Yeah, I don't think I like Latavius Murray enough to put him in. If Judy's healthy and playing, I would make that switch.
Okay. Yeah. I that's where I was leaning
And that's
originally.
pure game script for both guys. I think White against the Niners is a tough matchup, and Judy against the Chiefs. They're gonna have to throw. Sutton's hurt. It can't all be Greg Dulcich. So
The only good thing about Rashad White is he has been the dump off guy. Yeah, Leonard Fournette gets some of it, but I think Rashad White is more of that third down work, the pass game work. And I think the Niners are going to be up and Tampa's going to have to be throwing. It's a tougher run game. So Rashad White might be okay. But I'm also with Andy. If Jerry Jeudy's healthy, I'm leaning that way, and I'm just going to start him and pray for the best.
yeah.
I don't like it though. So all right, let's move over to Boyer's side.
All right, I've forgotten. Am I doing this one or are you?
No, this is me.
Okay.
So on Boyer's side, he has Jones out, Campbell out, Cup on IR, Hall on IR, Hasty, which is a backup, and then Mike Williams, which we're not even sure if he's playing on the bench. He was limited in practice, so we'll see what happens. I don't know if I'm playing him coming back this week. We talked about Josh Palmer against Miami, so it's not a bad matchup, but his other options are Boyd or a 2 tight end set.
Hey, if you pick both tight ends, you can't be wrong. And Boyer's been wrong every week so far. Granted, last week they were both bad. Just Schultz was 1 point better than Kittle.
Right.
But yeah.
So if Williams gets enough work, are you putting Williams in over Boyd? Just to hope for the best, or are you leaving Boyd in?
I think I'd put Williams in over Schultz. We've already talked about the fact that the Cowboys may or may not need to throw very much in that game. And I mean Schultz gets looks from Dak. That's not the concern. But if they only throw 20 times, is there going to be enough there for him? Not that I'm super high on Tyler Boyd this week, but Boyer's just out of options.
Yeah, his whole bench is bye or injured.
Yep.
So all right, I think I actually would play the 2 tight ends and just put Williams in over Boyd this week. So
Yeah.
Not that I like it. Not that I like it, but it is what it is. So
Hey,
who's
at least
going
then
to win
you're
this?
not wrong.
Right. Who's going to win this one then?
I'm going Boyer. I just think the star power of Josh Allen and Tyreek Hill is probably enough to cover whatever Adam Devontae is gonna do. And then Fryer's got some running back issues. Jeff Wilson Jr. maybe not is the guy anymore. James Conner had a really big week last week with 25 carries, but he's got a tough Patriots matchup, and I just don't see anywhere else on Fryer's team that he can get the points this week outside of Devontae. And Boyer's got some of those guys.
Dolchik
Sorry.
has to beat out the other tight ends.
True.
But
Dolchik could do it.
I was trying to find a way to pick Fryer. I don't think I can do it, so I'm going to go with Boyer.
All right, you ready?
Like you said, Allen and Hill is enough, and then ETN I think will have a decent week.
Boyer picked Fryer, so that's how he's feeling about his team right now.
Well, there you go. There's a pivot from going 6 straight.
Yep.
So, all right, take us to Colin versus Paul, our naked matchup of the week.
Yeah, and boy, what a naked matchup it will be. All right, Gino over Russell Wilson. Colin, why do you still have Russell Wilson? All right, we're looking at Taylor on a bye, Olave on a bye, Tunyon on a bye. Colin needs to drop somebody to add a tight end. Probably drop Russell Wilson, because why would you drop James Cook? Terrible advice. Don't listen to the guy that told you that. You could also drop the Miami defense or the Cleveland defense, depending on which one you want to play this week. Neither are super exciting to me. But get a tight end in there. Moving up a running back, probably McKinnon against the Broncos.
Probably.
And then I guess you can play both. You move Duvernay up into Olave's spot and then put Cook in or Elijah Moore.
I would go with Cook or Jordan Mason.
You think Mason's going to get enough to be worth it?
I would probably take a shot on Jordan Mason over Cook right now. Jordan Mason against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense is solid, but with Brock Purdy, with who knows on what's happening, Jordan Mason is the up the gut kind of guy. And I think they're going to have to pound the ball for a while.
Yeah.
So I think Jordan Mason's definitely going to get work this week. So I would lean Jordan Mason.
Yeah. Tampa allows the 4th fewest fantasy points to the running back position. It's not quite the steel curtain that they've had the last few years, but they're still top in the league. So
yeah, well,
tough matchup.
And you've got to look at McCaffrey will be going out wide. You've got Debo, Ayuk, you've got Kittle, you've got plenty of weapons that even if Mason can get 10 carries for 60 yards, 50 yards, you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
Where James Cook, I don't know what you're going to get. McKinnon is the same way. He's gotten a lot of pass volume lately.
Yeah,
so
I mean McKinnon's got to go in because Taylor's on a bye.
Right.
And then you got to pick one other of these guys.
And I'm not playing Elijah Moore against the Buffalo secondary. So
no, I don't think I would either. He's been pretty bad this year.
Yep. So I'm gonna leave James Cook on the bench, the guy he should have dropped a couple weeks ago, you know?
I'm okay with that. If you think Mason's gonna get that work, then by all means. Let's bounce over to Paul and see if his side looks any better. He's got Debo's quad limited participant in practice, probably going to be okay. DeAndre Swift ankle limited in practice feels just kind of like a rest day type of thing. And David Njoku's also limited in practice today. So all of his question marks are probably going to be okay. Rondale Moore, groin, missed practice today. What you got, Tyler?
Njoku did sit out last week, so he's still working his way back.
Yeah.
So
but practicing on Wednesday, even limited, is always good news.
Right. And I think they expect him to be back,
Yeah.
but that's the only one of the three that I'm worried about this week.
Right. I don't think anybody's in a rush to get Kadarius Toney back a week early against Denver. So you're really looking at Rondale Moore, who's also dealing with missing practice because of a groin injury, over Van Jefferson. But Van Jefferson plays Thursday night, so you got to make that choice now. I think, unless you're planning on dropping somebody, you're leaving it as it is, right?
Yeah. I'm going to leave Van Jefferson in and just pray he can get a handful of catches.
Yep. Well, this is a stinker. I'm gonna go with Colin in this matchup, but boy, is this a turd of a matchup.
Well, and you're looking at Tony Jones Jr. as the second running back on Paul's team, which we just talked about. That might be the only healthy guy in Seattle. But like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm gonna lean Paul. I don't think Justin Tucker is enough to make up ground on Paul's team here. So I'm not a big Duvernay guy. I don't really like Collins' running back situation coming in. As long as Swift is healthy and can do something, I don't know. I don't like Brady either, but whatever. I'm gonna take Paul. I'm taking a shot here.
All right. Boyer also picked Paul, so this is my window to get one back.
All right. Well, you had a window on the last one too, where Boyer took Fryer.
True. Well, I get two. I'll be in first.
Or I pick up two, one on you and one on Boyer.
Hey, that's not bad either.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna take down to Andy versus Robbie. Big matchup for them in the top division. Andy currently has a whole bunch of bye and injury people on his bench. We have Tua versus the Chargers or Herbert versus Miami. Look at that. You get to pick that matchup.
Yep.
I'm leaving Herbert, and he's been good. If Mike Williams comes back and he has Allen and Williams and Palmer and Eckler, I think I'm banking on that. Both defenses aren't great, so you hope for the weapons, and Miami will run the ball more than the Chargers. So Herbert's got to do it all through the air.
Yep. I'm hoping Mike Williams come back, but even these last few weeks since Keenan Allen came back, Herbert's been 18, 28, 18. So I'm happy. I'm happy we've got weapons again.
Yep. So then the only other option is Michael Carter against Buffalo over Kareem Hunt against Cincinnati. But I think I'm just going to leave the low floor of Kareem Hunt in over Carter. I think I don't know what Carter's going to be, and Buffalo's defense is good against the run. So I think I'm leaving Hunt in and hoping for the best. Where are you at on that?
Struggling. I really don't know what I'm going to do at this point. I'm not super jazzed about either of these guys, but unfortunately, Robbie doesn't have anybody going in the Thursday night game. I've got Carlson going tomorrow night, so it's not like I'm gonna get too much information out of my kicker.
Right.
So I think if the game gets out of hand, Hunt might be in a little bit more in the second half just for the passing work. So just hedge my bets if shit's going downhill. But I need Chubb to do well against the Bengals to be good this week. So
Yeah. We'll see.
yep.
But I don't know. And the Jets run game has been good without Carter.
Yeah.
So it'll be a committee back even if he comes back. So we'll see. All right, going over to Robbie's side. Kenneth Walker is questionable for the time being. That leaves him to Zonovan Knight with the Jets, Jalen Warren with Pittsburgh, DJ Dallas in Seattle, and Jared. I guess you could play Meyer or Zane Jones in that flex as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
these are not great choices.
No. I think I'm just leaning Zonovan Knight. As much as I just said don't play Carter on the other side, but I don't like any of these other options better.
Yeah.
I mean, if Knight gets 10 carries for 35 or 40 yards, like that's a better floor than you could get from Meyer.
Yeah, and it's not like Zay Jones is going to get any work in a game where I mean, it's going to be a slow game with the Titans probably. So, I mean, he could maybe Zay Jones is the play just because he gets the target volume. Last week he only had 2 catches for 16, but he had 7 targets. The week before that he had 14. So,
The week before the week before that was bye. Week before that was 10 targets, 8 receptions. But before that, really, he was 5 receptions a week. And even with his 8 targets, he had 68 yards, and that was it.
yeah.
You know,
He doesn't score touchdowns is your main problem.
He's had one big game, and then he's had one touchdown game.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know how I feel about Knight this week with Carter coming back and being against Buffalo. That's a tough spot for him. But I mean, maybe DJ Dallas is gonna be the guy who gets. I mean, he didn't practice on Wednesday either, so it's
like
not
I
a
said,
great spot.
I think it's gonna be Homer, and if it is Dallas coming in off an injury, I think they're gonna split time with Tony Jones.
Yeah.
So, or all 3 of them are semi-healthy, and they all 3 get work. So, I don't know. I think I'm leaning Knight. And if I'm not going Knight, I'm going to Zay Jones for the hope.
Yeah, so. I think I'm leaning Zay Jones, but I don't like any of these options.
All right, fair enough. With that, I'll start because it's your matchup, so I won't make you pick yet.
All right.
I'm gonna take Robbie.
That's fair.
I kind of just like his matchups better.
Yeah. Mixon didn't do very much the last time they played Cleveland, but Cleveland is pretty bad against the run. So I'd really like to see Mixon bust off and have a good game, but last time they got 6 points. And then my flex is almost as ugly as Robbie's flex situation right now. So I need a big game out of Herbert and DK. Juju against Denver's not great. God damn. It's gonna be a close one. But I think it's gonna be close because I think we're both gonna disappoint this week. I think this could be a matchup in the 80s. I'm not real jazzed about either of our sides. CD's projected for 15 points, but he's gonna have to do that in the first half of that game. So maybe it happens, but Houston gives up the 4th fewest points to the wide receivers for a reason, because then nobody has to throw against Houston. So I can't imagine CD's getting 90 and a touchdown. Maybe he does. We'll see. But I'm going to go with me. I don't feel good about it, but I wouldn't feel any better picking Robbie, so I may as well pick myself.
Right. Right. So where'd Boyer go?
Boyer went with me. So you've got a window here to make up some games, Ty.
I sure do. It'll probably go the complete opposite of what I picked, though, because that's how it happened early in the season.
Here's hoping. I picked me. You picked Robbie. Jerk.
So, I can't help it, man. So, all right. Well, that wraps up week 14 preview, start sits, all that fun stuff. If you guys have anything you want us to talk about, anything specific, start sits, any other whatnots, hit us down there. If you guys have a segment that you want to throw at us that maybe we need to try, hit us with that too, because we're down to try whatever.
Yeah, let Ty know what beer he's drinking next week. Let me know what cocktail I'm drinking next week. Let Boyer know what color Gatorade he's drinking next week.
Or we could place bets on what color Boyer's Gatorade is going to be. You know, like the national championship games and stuff. You know,
it's a hot market.
I'll leave it even across the board too. We won't even put odds super high on one of them. So, all right. Well, with that, enjoy your week of football. We'll be back at you guys next week. We're out.